What's up, everybody? Brady Farkas Show back at it here on a Monday on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. Short show today. We're on for 40 minutes, 5:30 until 6:10. Then we bring you Red Sox baseball. Sox taking on the Kansas City Royals coming off of an awful weekend. You can get in on the text line 802-585-3026. It's 802-585-3026. You can also watch our video stream on Facebook Live and on YouTube Live. You can also check it out on my Twitter account. We got Danny, who's producing and engineering the show. As always, I want to give Danny credit because he got us back up and running on the Facebook live stream just moments ago. Look, I am all for internet security. I'm all for things being not hacked into. But did anybody else have this over the weekend where Facebook wanted you to activate what's called Facebook Protect? I got this on my personal account, and we got this now as we just tried to
stream, and it was so here we go. Danny's back in the video stream now. That, speaking of Danny, the engineering genius, he's back on now. That's good. So Facebook Protect, it was a huge process for me on Saturday morning with this for my personal Facebook page. I'm trying to do some work on it. It's like, link this and get two-factor authentication, and get it sent to your email, get it sent to a text. What's the code? There's no code. Now you got to do that. I'm like, look, I'm all for it being secure, but can we actually get it so it works? But now Danny has figured out how to get it here on our company account, and we're off and running here on the stream. Danny, let's go.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And here we go. The opening thoughts of the Brady Farkas Show are brought to you by Sticks and Stuff and by Swanton Lumber, Vermont's most complete locally owned home center with locations in Enosburg, Derby, Middlesex, St. Albans. Also, they are online. They are over in Rouse's Point, and they're online at sticksandstuff.com. Well, Danny, let me ask you this. What interests you more? What interests you more in general? Tristan Casas' development, Jarren Duran's development, if Chris Sale has anything left in the tank, how Trevor Story looks, Chaim Bloom's future. What of those things kind of interests you the most?
Are you spinning the wheel here?
I'm asking you. Yes, I'm asking you a question. Which of those 5 things I just gave seems to be most interesting to you?
I'm going to go with Chaim Bloom.
Okay, that's the wrong answer. The wrong answer is all of them are interesting. And you know what they all have in common? They're all about the future. Because you know what matters for the Red Sox? The future. Because you know what doesn't matter anymore? The present. The Red Sox are done. Okay, the Red Sox are done, and I'm disappointed to say that, and I'm upset for it, and I'm just as mad as you are. But we told you on Friday, if the Red Sox have a good weekend here against the Toronto Blue Jays, they were going to be right in the thick of the playoff thing and the playoff race, and they were going to have a lead in the wild card race. They were going to be in wild card position. Conversely, we told you if the Red Sox have a bad weekend, they very well might be done. They didn't just have a bad weekend. They had a horrible weekend. They had a horrible weekend on the field. They had a horrible weekend off the field. It was an organizational failure from top to bottom. There is one of my favorite baseball videos in the history of baseball. It's on YouTube. It's completely inappropriate. We will not play it for this show in any facet. You can find it if you want to on YouTube, but it's Augie Garrido, who used to be the head coach at the University of Texas, also at Cal State Fullerton. R.I.P. to Augie. He's a legend. I don't know how on earth he said these things and how on earth they actually got filmed. But there is a video of Augie Garrido's greatest rants at Texas. And at one point, he comes in to the clubhouse at Texas, and he goes, "We got beat at every part of this. Defense, 2-out hitting, everything." And he had a lot of other colorful language around that. That was the Red Sox this weekend. They got beat in every part of this. And as a result, their season is over. They might be able to hang around and be somewhat interesting. They might catch a 3-game win streak here. They might pick up a game there. But make no mistake, their season is over. Okay, they are now 5 games back. They now have to leapfrog the Yankees. They now have to leapfrog Seattle. They now have to leapfrog Toronto. And their schedule only gets more difficult. Well, right now they're playing Kansas City, which we'd like to think is an easy series. They're going to have 10 games at the end of the month here with Houston and the Dodgers, and it's not going to be friendly. The Red Sox squandered a chance this weekend, and as a result, it probably ended their season. It started right on Friday night, first pitch of the game, going for a home run from James Paxton. Right now, James Paxton is supposed to be your horse. He gives up a homer the first pitch of the game. He gives up another homer to Guerrero a few pitches later, and you're instantly down 2-0. It moves to Saturday's failure of you running yourself out of the ninth inning, in which Reese McGuire, I do feel bad for him, gets doubled off at second base inexplicably. And then yesterday, a guy we've never heard of, Davis Schneider, continuing to make history against you, and you getting pummeled 13-1 by a division rival at home. Boston Red Sox had a golden opportunity this weekend, and they absolutely squandered it. Jared Carrabis, who's the biggest Red Sox guy there is out there, used to be at Barstool, now he's at DraftKings. He declared the Red Sox dead yesterday for the season, 4:26 p.m., cause of death, injuries, poor roster construction, etc. That's where we're at. The Red Sox are done. So if you're looking for reasons to stay engaged outside of the playoffs, you'd be thinking about this. How does Trevor Story look? How does Chris Sale look? Does he have anything left in the tank? Story's going to be back tomorrow. We'll get to that momentarily. Then we've got Sale coming back supposedly on Friday to start. Then it's going to be Heim's future, Duran's development, Casas' development still, and maybe if Ceddanne Rafaela comes up here in September. Those are the future bullet points to worry about because the current Red Sox, they are dead. And I'm disappointed because the Red Sox played really hard on Tuesday and Wednesday. I was all disillusioned about the trade deadline. I was furious at Chaim Bloom about the trade deadline. I thought that on Tuesday, there was a chance they'd come out flat against Seattle at the day of the deadline. They came out and they won that game, and they played really well. And then they came out on Wednesday, and they had a 3-0 lead against Seattle into the sixth inning, and then ultimately blew it and said they have not won since. So they played really hard. I don't think that the deadline killed them emotionally as much as I thought maybe that it could have. What's killed them is the poor roster construction, the lack of starting pitching, and some real boneheaded blunders. Poor defense over the weekend, which has been a staple of this team, bad base running, which has happened more than once, and then just a general lack of interest yesterday. Absolutely disgusting. 802-585-3026 is the text line. Text says, Brady, I was so hopeful, but with the drama and bad play, they continue to shoot themselves in the foot. Really, what's going on with Verdugo? We'll talk about that in a second. My guy Peter says, Red Sox and Blue Jays looked like Tim Anderson getting dropped by Jose Ramirez. Yes, they did. Go find that on YouTube. That was epic. I know fighting's not cool. I'm not for fighting in sports. I'm throwing cold water on hockey fights. I'm not a huge fan of that stuff, but if you're looking for a baseball brouhaha, you actually saw it on Saturday. And yeah, it was a pretty epic punch there that Jose Ramirez landed against Tim Anderson. Now let's talk about the Verdugo thing. I'm ready to trade Verdugo in the offseason. Not because I think Verdugo stinks, not because he was late on Saturday. I'm not trying to be reactive to just that. But Alex Verdugo is not a guy that I can count on. And if I can't count on you, I can't pay you $100 million. It's that simple. I'm ready to trade Alex Verdugo this offseason, and I feel bad saying that. I like Verdugo. I think he's a good player. But $100 million, you got to be great, and you got to be dependable. And I don't think that Alex Verdugo is either of those things. Okay? Let's kind of go back to the beginning here. So Saturday afternoon, lineup comes out, Verdugo's in it. New lineup comes out, Verdugo's not in it. We have no idea why. Alex Cora says it's a manager's decision. After the game, manager's decision. Verdugo echoes that. We find out, Danny, I want you to pull up both the Cora and the Verdugo sound on this. I want to play this in a second. After the game, we find out that Verdugo was up to 2 hours late to the ballpark, unexcused, and wasn't ready to go in time. Like, he got there before the game started, but he's 2 hours after punch-in time. Let me hear after the game what Cora said, Danny, about Verdugo's benching.
We have to be available. Everybody has to be available. For us to do this, we have to be available. From coaches to players to analysts to the front office, everybody has to be available every single day here. That's the bottom line. And today, one guy wasn't available.
Okay, so that's what Cora says. We have to be available. One guy wasn't. Here's what Verdugo said, taking responsibility, but again, he wouldn't say what he was taking responsibility for. It took the media afterwards to unearth the details.
It's the manager's decision, and I respect his decision. He's the jefe. He's the one that he's our coach, man. He's our coach. He's the head guy here. So for me, I take responsibility, but at the end of the day, it's his decision, and whether it hurt the team or helped the team today, we don't know, right? You know what I mean? But I like to think that I helped the team in different aspects. So for me as a player, I want to play. I want to be out there every day, and today was a little bit hard to watch.
I'm ready to trade Alex Verdugo. Again, I don't think that he's bad, but if I can't count on you on the field and now off the field, I can't give you $100 million. I just can't. Alex Verdugo is a good player. Is he the guy who is supposed to justify the Mookie Betts trade? No, probably not. Actually, no, definitely not, because no one's Mookie Betts. Mookie Betts is a former MVP. That's too lofty of a standard anyways. But Alex Verdugo is 27 years old. It's too late into his career for this kind of garbage. Verdugo has been in the majors now for 7 years. He's been a key contributor now for 5 years in the big leagues, right? He's been a key part of the Red Sox now for 4 years in the big leagues. He has been around too much to act this way. He was benched early in the year for lack of hustle. Now he's been benched because he's late. And something tells me that there's more behind the scenes too. This doesn't strike me as Alex Cora just saying, hey, okay, this is this one incident, you're out. It's a culmination of things would be my guess. But at the very least, maybe it was a one-strike offense. And where Cora's like, look, man, this is our biggest series of the year, and you can't be bothered to show up on time. I have a problem with that. Call and say you're going to be late. Hey, Skip, caught in traffic. Be there ASAP. Something. I didn't hear any of that kind of stuff. I'm ready to move on from Verdugo because Alex Verdugo is going to want $100 million. Alex Verdugo is probably going to get close to or exceed $100 million because that's what the market is. He's not going to get it from me. He has been acquired by the Red Sox. He has been nurtured by the Red Sox. He has been cultivated by the Red Sox. They've got a guy who he loves in Alex Cora there, a guy who they can challenge each other, and it's still not getting through. If it's not getting through here, I'm not giving him $100 million. Because you look on the field, he's hitting 275 with 8 home runs and 41 RBIs. That's not a $100 million contract right there. He's got a 347 on base percentage. He's hitting 150 or something since the beginning of July. He's not good enough to get $100 million. Now he's not dependable enough to be a leader, right? If Alex Verdugo was an $80 million player, but he was great with the intangibles, and he was always dependable, and he's a team leader, and he's always on time, maybe I'll give him the 95, 100. Maybe that's the tax for being a good leader. I'm not seeing that now. So now I got to try to get something for him before he hits the open market, and I end up with nothing. This is where I'm at now with Alex Verdugo, and I've defended him, and I've liked him, but I don't like this. Texter says he looks like he's pouting his body language all the time. He's not worth $100 million. If Alex Verdugo said, look, I want to be in Boston, I'll take 4 years and $50 million, I would do it. Right? I would do that. That would be, I've always said how good you are dictates how big a distraction you can be. Alex Verdugo is not good enough to be doing this on Saturday. So if he wanted 4 years and $50 million, I'd take it. But he's going to want 5 for 100. Because Andrew Benintendi got 5 for 75, and Yoshida got 5 for 90 sight unseen. He's going to want 5 for 100. Certainly from the Red Sox. 5 for 110. This is the going rate for offensive players, especially in what will be a challenge free agent market. Teams will be looking at trades. So as we start thinking about extension candidates, Verdugo's going to be that guy. He's not going to get it from me. Texter says, call me a curmudgeon, but we've reached the point where the money is out of control and people who get paid need to do their job, period. The game is being priced out of the common sports fan. Yes, you're a curmudgeon. Yes, you're a curmudgeon. Because I've said this before, the money is the money, and you just have to deal with it. Okay, you have to deal with it. Think about it in business terms, right? I've thought about this in WDEV terms. I'll use this analogy because it's easier. Okay, these are not real numbers. I'm making these up for effect. Let's say that 1 year WDEV made $1 million. And when they're making $1 million, they elect to pay Brady Farkas $25,000 a year. Okay? But then next year, WDEV brings in $5 million. Do you still want Brady Farkas to make $25,000? I would hope not. If your company was five-folding its revenue, I would hope you'd want that to filter to the employees. And if WDEV is going to make 5 times what it was making, then now Brady Farkas could make $100,000. That's what I would hope. If your employer five-fold increased its revenue and then tried to pay you the same thing, wouldn't you be bothered by that? That's where sports is at now. Like, yes, I want players who are paid absurd amounts of money to show up and be on time and be accountable and play hard. That is true. That is a prerequisite. It is what it is after that. Okay? If Mookie Betts is going to get $400 million, but he's going to hit 310 and bring in and have 40 homers and bring in 110 runs and win the MVP, then so be it. If Ronald Acuna Jr. is going to make $400 million someday and he's going to steal 75 bases and hit 50 homers, so be it. If Ohtani is going to hit $600 million, but he's going to be essentially $300 million players, okay, I no longer get annoyed by the money because I am now old enough as an employee to see the game and think, okay, if my business was doing so great financially, I would want that money to filter to the players. What do you want? You want the owners to profit more? You want the owners. I'm asking the texter here. I hope you text back in. Baseball's making way more money than it ever has. The TV deals are way more lucrative than they've ever been. We've got extra playoff teams bringing in revenue. Now we're going to get an expansion fee right to go to Las Vegas. The owners are going to take all this money, and you want the owners to keep it and then not reinvest it on the team? Is that what we want? We want the owners to make billions of dollars, but the players can only make $4 million instead of $9 million, or can only make $9 million instead of $13 million. I'm not interested in that kind of system. I'm an employee. I'm in favor of employees getting paid. I hope that you are as well. If you are a business owner who wants to keep down employee salaries, then I guess I get it from your perspective. But my perspective is I'm an employee. I want employees to get paid. Just play hard to justify making that money. I'm not in favor of NBA guys making $50 million a year to sit 20 games a year. I think we're all in agreement on that. But I am in favor of employees getting paid. Now, yes, is Xander Bogaerts worth $270 million? No, he's not. But if this is what it costs right now on the open market, this is what it costs. If you don't like it, be better at drafting and developing so you can have cost-suppressed players who are cheap for the first 6 or 7 years of their career, which is exactly what the owners are trying to do, which is what Chaim Bloom's trying to do. So if you're in favor of guys not getting $100 million, be in favor of the Connor Wong, Jared Duran plan, where the team just comes out and drafts and develops Tristan Casas and tries to get everybody good and then trades them like I'm asking you to do with Verdugo. Like the Tampa Bay Rays do. Why are the Rays payrolls always down? Because they don't pay for free agents. They just draft and develop and reload. If you like that better, then fine. But this is what it costs in sports these days. Is Kyler Murray worth $45 million a year? No. Is Daniel Jones worth $40 million a year? No. But this is what quarterbacks get, so it's a system we all have to live in. The NFL's making enough money. Trust me, they can afford it. Text says, what could the Red Sox expect to get in a trade for Verdugo? A major league starting pitcher with an expiring deal. That's what I think. Like Verdugo, if he's going in the final year of his deal, I think the Red Sox could expect a major league pitcher in return going into the final year of his deal, a 1-for-1 swap. They also could expect a couple of prospects if they just wanted to go that route, but I'm in favor of major league players. Tex says, I want players to produce for what they're getting. Why didn't Trevor Story come up? I'm okay with the pay, but do your job. Let's talk about Trevor Story, because I got some thoughts on that too. We'll talk about Story and the latest on him. That's next on DEV.
You've been waiting, and it all starts Tuesday. Addison County Fair and Field Days. Kick the day off with a season pass. The midway opens at 1, and kids ride all day with a $25 bracelet or get 4 for $75 by going to dreamlandamusements.com. And then get ready for Robinson's Racing Pigs, the Vermont Products Dinner with 3 settings. Then the action continues with the G-Stone Demo Derby on the tractor pad. Get the complete schedule of activities at AddisonCountyFieldDays.com.
If you own a small to medium-sized business that kept employees on payroll through COVID, you may have a big cash refund waiting for you. The Employee Retention Credit is a tax credit of up to $26,000 per employee. And now, more businesses than ever qualify. The experts at RefundsPro.com specialize in cutting through the red tape of qualifying for this government program. Most of their refunds are over $100,000. Even businesses that have received PPP funds may be eligible. And there are absolutely no fees unless you receive a refund. So there's no reason not to apply. If your business experienced shutdowns, limited capacity, supply chain challenges, or reduced revenue due to COVID, you likely qualify. RefundsPro.com has already helped hundreds of businesses. So don't lose the refund you're owed by missing the deadline. Get started today with a free 5-minute questionnaire at RefundsPro.com. That's refunds with an S, pro.com.
Hi folks, this is Peter Burke. Join Joel Mashman and me in the garden Saturdays at 12:30. Don't try to do it alone in your garden. Call in with questions for advice or just to share your successes in the garden.
Brought to you in part by Menard's family-owned True Value Store, Brooklyn Street, Morrisville. Blossom's Florist Greenhouse and Perennial Farm in Colchester. And Sticks and Stuff in Swanton Lumber, Vermont's largest independent home center. Go to sticksandstuff.com for store locations and hours.
Sometimes you want to go where everybody knows you're, well, we all know the rest, but it's true. There's comfort in the familiar. Mulligan's in Barrie and McGillicuddy's in Waterbury are both open and welcome you to stop in for lunch or dinner or to meet friends for drinks and appetizers. Takeout is available too. Wings, burgers, sandwiches, salads, and much more at Mulligan's on Maple Avenue in Barrie and McGillicuddy's on South Main Street in Waterbury.
The WDEV studio is sponsored by Sticks and Stuff and Swanton Lumber, Vermont's largest independent home center, powered by Marvin Doors and Windows. Go to sticksandstuff.com for store locations and hours.
Think you know sports better than Brady does? Text in with your thoughts at 802-585-3026.
Now it's back to the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
Welcome back in, Brady Farkas Show right here on WDEV AM and FM, WDEVradio.com. Red Sox baseball coming up here in about 20 minutes, 17 minutes from now against the Royals. We'll have the lineups for you at about 6:05. Travis on the text line, 802-585-3026 says, let's be honest, Red Sox haven't had a lot of luck with trades lately. He's going back to Larry Anderson for Jeff Bagwell. You're giving me something from 35 years ago. That doesn't point to not having luck with trades lately. Yes, they traded Mookie Betts. They were backed into a corner there. I'm not saying I support them, but I understand why they traded Mookie. You can't give me facts from 35 years ago. So Trevor Story is going to be back tomorrow. And I don't like this question mark. I like that Story's coming back. That's good for the Red Sox. It makes them more interesting. And if I'm going to declare them undead in the future, Trevor Story is going to be a part of it. But I do find myself wondering, if Trevor Story can play on Tuesday, why couldn't Trevor Story play on Sunday? Why couldn't Trevor Story play on Saturday? Could Trevor Story have played on Friday? I didn't like this then. I don't like this now. Now, I am pro-employee. I just told you that. If Trevor Story was bothered by something or hampered by something or didn't feel comfortable with something, I do get it. But if Trevor Story can play on Tuesday against the Kansas City Royals, why can't Trevor Story play on Sunday against the Toronto Blue Jays when you're trying to avoid getting swept and it's the biggest series of the year? That I would like to know. The 2 days really make that big a difference? Question mark. Do they really make that big a difference? Trevor Story has ultimate financial security, right? He's got a 6-year,
$140 million guaranteed contract. Whether he comes up for the weekend or one day and goes 0 for 4, 0 for 8, or 0 for 12 with 12 strikeouts does not affect his earnings in the slightest. I can reconcile business-wise a pitcher who's on a 1-year deal not wanting to come up if he's not 100% off his rehab. Hey, man, look, my earnings are dictated by my stats here. I'm going to have 8 to 10 starts left here, and I can't afford to have one of them be a lemon because it impacts me in the market. I don't have to like that, but I could get it. Trevor Story is not in that situation. 6 years, $140 million, completely and fully guaranteed. He couldn't have come up on Sunday and played at DH. I don't get it. They're in a roster crunch. I understand that, but that they don't want to do. TC told us last week, they got the DH. They don't want him as a DH. They said, okay, I don't care. I don't care. Figure out a way to make it work. Okay? Figure out a way to make it work. If you want to bring Story back as shortstop so we don't have to watch Pablo Reyes, fine. You want to put him in at the DH spot and, sit Turner or sit Casas or sit Durant or sit Yoshida for a day? They've been sitting Yoshida too often for my liking anyways. What's one more day to throw on there? I mean, Trevor Story's going to be back tomorrow against the hapless Royals. You know what would have made a difference? Saturday. Sunday. Before you got swept by your division rivals who have probably taken the brooms to your entire season here. So Trevor Story can get 1 or 2 or 3 more games at AAA. Look, he didn't have a spring training. He missed the first 4 months of the season. He's going to come back rusty probably no matter what. 1 extra game, 4 extra at-bats against some slap throw in 87 at AAA is going to make the difference? I would have liked to see him this weekend when the season was worth saving. Texter says, where was Story in this very important series against the Jays? Completely BS. Again, I'm not going to say it's BS, and I'm not going to say he's soft. But is 2 days really the difference? Is 2 days really the difference? Buster told us last week, and I think he's right, that back in the day, people would have rushed to get on the field. Now people only want to get on the field if they're 100%. Well, money can have a lot to do with that, but money doesn't matter here to Story. He's guaranteed his money no matter what. He couldn't have come up and played DH. Couldn't have come up. I mean, we've watched this team run out Kike Hernandez and David Hamilton and Manuel Valdez and Pablo Reyes and Yu Chang and all these guys in the middle infield. Trevor Story couldn't be there. Texter says, was it a union contract? And if it was, then so be it. No, this has nothing to do with the players' union. Trevor Story is allowed a maximum of 20 days on rehab. Right? So they activate him for rehab. You get a maximum of 20 days. Trevor Story is taking almost all of that 20 days. I wouldn't be in favor of him playing day one with no reps. Day one without having tested his surgically repaired elbow. But is day 16 versus day 18 really a big deal? I don't know. Maybe it is, but it doesn't feel like it is, especially when the season's on the line. I shouldn't need Trevor Story to beat the Royals. I needed Trevor Story when I was 2 games back going into a series with the Toronto Blue Jays. It's the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV, AM and FM and WDEVradio.com. We will get the national news update from CBS News. We'll come back with the lineups for the Red Sox and Royals, not including Trevor Story today. And I'll give you a great piece of news on UVM women's basketball. Something you need to know here about the Catamounts. That's next on the Brady Farkas Show on DEV.
This is WDEV, Vermont's news station, owned and operated by the Radio Vermont Group. From the top of Sugarbush at 96.1 FM, WDEV Warren and Waitsfield. In Barrie at 96.5. In Montpelier at 98.3. Along with our founding station, AM 550 WDEV Waterbury, Montpelier. Streaming at WDEVradio.com. 92 years of serving Vermont. The friendly pioneer, WDEV.
This is CBS News on the Hour, presented by Indeed.com.
I'm Monica Ricks in New York. Former President Trump's attorneys responded to a protective order request today with just minutes to go before a judge's deadline. CBS's Caitlin Huey-Burns is in Washington with details.
President Trump's attorneys are asking for a much narrower protective order from the special counsel's office. They're arguing that only genuinely sensitive material should be shielded from public view. In their filing, they also accuse President Biden threatened of doing the same thing on social media.
Trump's team also requested for the trial to be moved and for the judge to recuse herself, claiming he won't get a fair trial. The FAA says it's rerouting flights across the East Coast now to avoid severe storms that could include dangerous tornadoes. WJZ meteorologist Derek Beasley's in Baltimore.
We're watching this line of storms, which has actually started to accelerate now. So it's moving east at about 55 miles an hour. And they just issued what we call a destructive tag severe thunderstorm warning.
About 1,400 flights have been canceled so far, 6,000 delayed. Former Minneapolis cop Tu Tao got another 5 years added to his prison sentence over George Floyd's death today. Here's CBS's Matt Piper.
I did not commit these crimes. My conscience is clear.
At sentencing, Tao rambled on about biblical references.
I will not be a Judas nor join a mob in self-preservation or betray my God.
Judge Peter Cahill says he would have liked to have heard something different.
I was hoping for a little more remorse, regret, and less preaching.
Tao's sentence will run concurrently with a 3.5-year sentence for his separate conviction on a federal civil rights charge.
Meantime, civil rights attorney Ben Crump is fighting for 24 families of inmates who've recently died at the Harris County Jail in Texas.
Houston, we have a problem. That's right.
Yeah. He claims there's a culture of deliberate indifference there that's affecting detainees before trial. Kids are heading back to school in some parts of the country now, which means it is time to think about those fall vaccinations. Dr. Celine Gounder recommends getting a flu shot soon.
We think flu season is going to be starting a bit early again this year. So big picture, I would say September, October, and whenever you're able to get in to get your flu shot is a good time to do it.
Shots for RSV will also be available for the first time. Major League Baseball issued suspensions today for that big brawl that cleared benches in Cleveland over the weekend.
Now, oh my goodness, here come the benches, off we go.
The play-by-play on NBC Sports Chicago, White Sox shortstop Tim Anderson will be benched for 6 games. Guardians third baseman Jose Ramirez will miss 3 games. Both team managers got 1-game suspensions, and some players now face fines. This is CBS News.
Hire with minimal effort and max speed with Indeed. Their hiring solution platform helps you attract, interview, and hire candidates efficiently. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
Your chance to be part of the show is on the text line at 802-585-3026.
Now it's back to the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
Yeah.
Welcome back in, Brady Farkas Show right here on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. Red Sox baseball comes up about 7 minutes from now. We'll give you the lineups here momentarily. I do want to tell you a little bit of good news, actually very good news for the UVM women's basketball team. We're still a couple months away from basketball starting, but we did get some great news on the Catamount women late last week and into the weekend. The UVM women will be playing in the Gulf Coast Showcase this year. This is a tournament right around Thanksgiving time. The men have played in the men's version of this tournament. The Catamounts are going to be in a great field that includes Kansas State, North Carolina, and Iowa. Iowa, the team with Caitlin Clark, who, the best player in the country, who took Iowa to the national title game a year ago, and they lost to LSU. So the Catamount women you're talking about Big 12 participant Kansas State, ACC participant, and a great program with a lot of lineage in the women's game in North Carolina, and then Iowa, the national runner-ups, and UVM is in this field. Catamounts are going to open in this tournament November 24th, taking on North Carolina. This is a huge step for this program. We spend a lot of time talking about the men and getting to the tournament. What does it do for recruiting? And getting a game against Kansas or a game against UCLA, what does it do for recruiting? It's time to have those conversations about the women, because this is the chance for the women to continue to grow and develop and start to have repeatable success. I have seen this before, where a program ends up with 1 or 2 really good classes, and then those players graduate, and then the program is back at ground zero because they haven't been able to capitalize on it. This is where the UVM women can capitalize. This is where they can make their run towards sustainable success, right? We talk about the Red Sox. How do you get sustainable? Well, you need the farm system. You just need players to continue to matriculate so players get replaced rather than leaving giant holes in your roster. That's where UVM is at now. There's going to be a post-NCAA tournament recruiting boon for Elisa Kresge and her staff that they need to capitalize on. And now you're going to have a chance to tell your future recruits, hey, you have a chance to go to the tournament.
you have a chance to play in some top flight buildings, and you have a chance to play against some top flight competition. And that's what you get if you come here to UVM. This is absolutely huge. Kresge says, we're thrilled to be invited to the Gulf Coast Showcase. The field is extremely competitive and will be a great test for our program. Hope our fans can come down as well. It's in Florida. It's over Thanksgiving. It's great for recruiting. It's great for visibility. And it's a great follow-up to what this team did getting to the NCAA tournament. Do I think UVM is going to do well in this tournament? No, I don't. But you have a chance for that to not matter because, again, the visibility, the name recognition, and the ability for coaches to name drop really, really matters to recruits. If I can go into a recruit's home and say, hey, you have a chance to go to the NCAA tournament. You have a chance to play UConn in the NCAA tournament, the most storied program in history. And by the way, in our regular season, we played Indiana last year, who ended up being a top 5 program. And you have a chance to play Caitlin Clark, the best player in the country. This is what you can do if you come to UVM. It's a big deal. And it's great for her program that they're on this level. And this is how you keep the momentum growing and the momentum building. Why do I think UVM's not going to do well in this tournament? Well, they're opening up with North Carolina. That's a real difficult draw. And 2, they're going to be playing at the beginning of the season here without Catherine Gilby. Catherine Gilby is their point guard, their floor general, their leader. That she is out for the year. She is not coming back. She's got a lower body injury. She's out for the season. This team is not going to be as good, especially early, without Catherine Gilby. She's that good. She's that important to their team. And I can't see, by this point, what will be probably 5 games into the year, them being ready to just say, okay, we're good without Catherine. I don't think that's going to happen. She is too important to this team. It's going to take them a while to get comfortable without her. It might even be by conference play. Now, Emma Utterback can do it, and maybe you'll see more of Paula Gonzalez, who we saw last year, and Delaney Richards. I think you have some bigger players run at the point. Bella Vito can play out there. There's options for Elisa Kresge, but I don't think they're going to have those options ironed out early. But I am happy to see that this program is taking that next step. 802-585-3026. Texter says they're happy for UVM as well. Danny, 2 minutes from Red Sox baseball. Cue me the lineup music. The Royals come in hot, but they are still the second worst team in baseball. They're 36-77. They had just won 6 games in a row here at one point, so they are playing better. But again, they've lost 77 games. Cole Raggins is a starter for Cincinnati, for Kansas City. He's 3-3 with a 4.33 ERA. Michael Garcia is at third. He leads off. The one guy you got to worry about in this lineup is Bobby Witt Jr., the shortstop. He's got 20 homers, 67 ribbies, 32 steals. He's the first player in baseball history to have 20 homers and 30 steals in each of his first 2 seasons. He's the guy to worry about. Nick Massey is at second base. They've got MJ Melendez, who is the designated hitter, and it's cleanup. They've got at first base in the 5 spot, Matt Beatty out there. Salvador Perez, longtime catcher, is not playing in this game. His spot in the lineup is occupied by Freddie Fermin, who is in the 6th spot. Drew Waters, the speedy outfielder, is in right. They've got Dyron Blanco. Gregor Blanco is a few years back. Dyron Blanco is the 30-year-old outfielder. He is in left, and Kyle Isbell is the center fielder, and he bats 9th. As for the Sox, Rob Refsnyder's in center. Masataka Yoshida's in left. Justin Turner's the DH. Devers at third. Adam Duvall in right. Tristan Casas at first. Luis Arias is at second. Pablo Reyes at short. Connor Wong is the catcher. He bats 9th. On the mound is Brian Bayo, 8-6 with a 3.79 ERA. For the Red Sox, they are 57-54. They're in 5th place, last place in the American League East. They're 5 games back in the wild card race. Again, if they want to undead themselves, you got to take care of business against the bottom feeders, and that's what the Royals are. Thanks to Danny. We'll see you tomorrow.
It's time for the Mass Mutual Red Sox pregame show. Proudly brought to you by Mass Mutual. Mass Mutual.